Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about sentence error problems. So when you write essays for your English classes, for your ESL classes, there are three main sentence error types that your professors will be looking for. They are comma splice, run-on, and fragment. So we're going to talk about those today and how to correct them. So comma splice. If you have two independent clauses or two sets of subject and verb separated only by a comma, you have a sentence splice error. Here's an example. I didn't study for the test, comma, I got an F. So basically in English, this is a grammar error, right? It's a punctuation error, to be exact. You cannot separate two or connect two independent clauses with only a comma. So what can we do to correct this? Well, we can put a comma and one of our fanboys, one of our coordinating conjunctions like we did here. I didn't study for the test, comma, so I got an F. So now it is correct because we've added a coordinating conjunction. Here's another example of a comma splice error. The research shows an increase in lifespan, comma, the researchers were hoping for such results. So again, another comma splice error. We have two independent clauses separated by only a comma. Here, another way that we can correct this is by using what we call a semicolon. Kind of looks like a comma with a dot on it. So semicolon in between two independent clauses, it is a correct sentence, but comma only in between two independent clauses, not correct. We can also correct it in a different way. We can make it a compound sentence by putting the word and after the comma. So two different ways that we can correct that comma splice problem. Another sentence error problem that comes up a lot are run-on sentences. So what is a run-on sentence? So that's when two or more independent clauses are joined, this time with no punctuation or connecting word at all, no comma at all. For example, the teacher likes his students, he knows their names. So here basically we have two sentences or two independent clauses. The teacher likes his students and he knows their names. Okay, but there's no punctuation here and no connecting word. So we can correct it like this. The teacher likes his students, comma, so he knows their names. Here's another example of a run-on sentence. Our lab instructor wanted us to meet after class to review for the test, but we did not like that idea. This kind of looks like a compound sentence, but it's missing some important punctuation. What is it missing? It's missing a comma. So since there is no comma here, that becomes a run-on error. So make sure when you have a compound sentence with one of those fanboys that you put a comma in front of it. Another way to correct that is to use a semicolon and a transition word. We can also call this a conjunctive adverb. Our lab instructor wanted us to meet after class to review for the test, semicolon. However, comma, we did not like that idea. So I'm going to scroll ahead in this presentation, so just give me a moment and talk about one last sentence error, which is called a fragment. So just a moment here. So we talked about run-ons, we talked about comma splice error, and now we're talking about fragments. So what is a fragment? Well, basically it's an incomplete sentence. can be incomplete in different ways. So remember, a clause needs to have a subject and a verb. So a fragment might not have a subject or a verb, or it might not have either one of those things. Um, for example, buying food and knowing how to cook well. So this is just part of a sentence or a clause. It might be the subject, it might be the object, we're not really sure. It looks here like they've corrected it by using it as the subject. Buying food and knowing how to cook well are important for good health. So here we've made this the subject and we've added a verb, are. So now it is a complete sentence. Okay, what else should we know about fragments? So sometimes when we have a dependent clause that is by itself and it's not connected to a an independent clause, then that is also a fragment. So here we have, although he could be a successful student. So how do we know this is a dependent clause? Well, we have a subject and a verb, just like we do in any clause. But since it starts with one of these adverb words, these connecting words, although in this case, it is a dependent clause. So we can correct this fragment error by connecting this fragment or dependent clause to an independent clause. Although he could be a successful student, comma, he doesn't work very hard. And that's all. So I hope that you learned a lot about fragment errors, comma splice errors, and run-on errors.